Have you ever felt it? That fire igniting in your chest, burning through every shred of reason you've got left. Maybe it was when someone cut you off in a meeting, or when a close friend stabbed you in the back, or maybe just when some jerk in traffic blared their horn, like they wanted to split your skull open. You want to scream. You want to smash something. You want the world to know nobody gets to treat you like that. But then what? You yell, you break something, and what's left? A mess, a shattered mind, and the pitying stares of everyone around you. They don't fear you. They feel sorry for you. I've been there. I used to be that guy who couldn't hold it together. A few years back, I stood in the middle of an office, face red, screaming at a coworker because he dared criticize my work in front of the team. I thought I looked strong, but looking back, I was a clown, puppet dancing to my own emotions. After that, I lost my job. Not because I was wrong, but because no one wants to work with a guy who can't control himself. That was the day I realized anger isn't power, it's weakness. And if you don't master it, it'll master you and destroy everything you've built. But this isn't a story about failure. This is a story about how I got back up, learned to choke out my anger before it choked me, and turned myself into someone nobody dares to disrespect. I didn't turn to cheap motivational quotes or overpriced therapy sessions. I turned to something that's been around for thousands of years, forged by the greatest minds in history: Stoicism. Men like Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus. They didn't just survive wars, betrayal, and death. They owned their minds in situations where you and I would have crumbled. Today, I'm going to walk you through 7 weapons that Stoicism gave me to crush anger forever. These aren't flimsy tricks like take a deep breath or count to 10 that you'd hear from your kindergarten teacher. These are real tools, sharpened by time, to make you so calm it's terrifying. The kind of person who walks into a room and makes everyone else shut up and listen. Are you ready? Because if you keep watching, your life won't be the same. Picture this. You're standing in the middle of chaos, coworkers yelling, friends criticizing, enemies mocking. But you don't flinch. Your face is stone. Your eyes are steel. And while they lose their minds, you're the only one in control. That's not a fantasy. That's what I'm about to show you. Not by changing other people. You can't do that. But by changing yourself. Your anger isn't your enemy. It's a wild dog, and I'm going to teach you how to put a leash on it. I remember the first time I felt this power for real. My neighbor kept blasting music late at night, keeping me awake for a week straight. I banged on his door, ready for a fight. He opened it, smirked, and said, "What you gonna do about it?" I felt the blood rush to my head, my fists clenching, but then I stopped. I remembered something Seneca said: the angriest man is the first to lose. I looked him dead in the eye, gave a slight smile, and walked away. The next day, he turned the music off, not because I beat him down, but because I beat him with silence. That was when I understood. Calm is the sharpest weapon you can wield. So why do you keep letting anger run your life? Why do you let it turn you into a weakling in everyone else's eyes? You don't have to live like that anymore. I found the path, and now I'm taking you with me. But I'll warn you, this isn't for the lazy. It demands that you face yourself, stare down the monster in your head, and say, "You're not my master." If you can do that, you won't just control your anger. You'll make the world beg for your calm. Stick with me, because the story's just getting started. Think about the last time you lost it. Did it happen so fast you couldn't stop it? One harsh word, one smug look, or one dumb text, and boom, you're gone. You shout. You slam the table. You fire off a message you'll regret later. And when the dust settles, how do you feel? Powerful? No. You feel empty. You feel like you just lost a fight you started yourself. I know that feeling, because I lived in it every day. But not anymore. And you don't have to either. Here's my promise to you. In the next few minutes, I'm going to hand you 7 specific, practical, and powerful ways to smash your anger before it even gets a chance to flare up. Not by bottling it up. That just makes it simmer until it explodes harder. But by ripping it out at the roots, so it can't control you anymore. These come from Stoicism, a philosophy that didn't just keep Roman emperors alive through war and betrayal, but helps regular people like me and you face the chaos of modern life. Imagine you're a gladiator in the arena. Your anger is your opponent, a wild beast, snarling, charging at you with razor-sharp teeth. You've got two choices. Run, and it'll chase you forever. Or stand your ground, look it in the eye, and drive your sword through its heart. Stoicism is that sword. It doesn't teach you to dodge your emotions. It teaches you to master them. And when you master your anger, you don't just win the fight. You win the respect of everyone watching. They'll look at you and think, how does he stay so calm? How is he that strong? I'm not just talking theory. I've lived this. After that day, I screamed at my coworker and lost my job. I hit rock bottom. I started digging into Stoicism because I had nothing left to lose. One line from Epictetus hit me like a punch to the face. You're not disturbed by things, but by the way you see them. It clicked. My anger wasn't because of that jerk coworker. It was because of me. I'd handed him the reins to my mind, and I swore I'd never let that happen again. So I started experimenting. I put myself in situations that made me want to explode. Arguments with friends, confrontations with rude strangers, even reading toxic comments online. But instead of reacting, I used Stoic tools to hold my ground. The result? I didn't just tame my anger. I became the guy people came to for advice. They didn't beg me to forgive them. They begged me to teach them how to be as calm as I was. Do you want that? To be the person who walks in and shuts down the nonsense without saying a word? To be the one whose silence makes others listen? That's what I'm about to give you. 7 ways, 7 blades, to cut through your anger and stand tall as an unbreakable force. But this isn't a fairy tale. It takes work. You've got to pick up the sword and swing it. I'll show you how, step by step, through real stories, real lessons, and real moments where I beat the beast in my own head. Think back to that noisy neighbor. After I walked away in silence, he didn't just stop the music. He knocked on my door a week later to apologize. Not because I threatened him, because my calm scared him. That's real power. Not shouting louder, but staying silent stronger. And you can have that too. Right now, you're at a crossroads. Keep letting anger pull your strings, or grab the Stoic sword and take charge. Which path are you taking? All right, you're still here, and that means you want change. You want the sword I've been talking about. So listen close, because I'm putting it in your hands right now. This is how I learned to kill my anger, not by running from it, but by facing it, understanding it, and breaking it piece by piece. Stoicism isn't some airy philosophy for old guys in white robes staring at the stars. It's a battle manual, written for people like you and me, people who deal with jerks, bad days, and storms raging in our heads every single day. I'm going to walk you through the first 3 of the 7 blades Stoicism forged for me. These didn't just help me survive. They turned me into someone nobody dares to mess with. First, you've got to face a cold truth. Your anger isn't something out there attacking you. It's something you create. Epictetus, a slave who became a philosopher, said this nearly 2,000 years ago. It's not things that upset you, but the way you view them. Think about the last time you blew up. Was it because your boss called you out in front of everyone? Or because your best friend sent some idiotic text? Wrong. You got mad because you chose to believe their words had the power to hurt you. But here's the reality. They don't, unless you give it to them. I learned this the hard way. After that day, I lost my job screaming at a coworker. I sat alone in my crummy apartment, wondering why I let some punk like him break me. Then it hit me. He didn't get me fired. I did. I let his smug look, his sarcastic tone, turn into a knife in my brain. But what if I could choose how I saw it? What if I could see him as a gust of wind, loud, meaningless, but unable to touch me? That's the first blade. See your anger as an illusion. It's only strong if you believe it's real. Here's how you do it, simple, but not easy. Next time someone pisses you off, when they interrupt you, when they mock you, don't react right away. Stop. Breathe. Ask yourself, does this really matter? Or am I just making a monster in my head? I tried this when a driver cut me off on the highway. Instead of honking like a maniac, I told myself, he's an idiot, but he's not worth my peace. And you know what? The anger vanished like smoke. He didn't win. I did. The second blade. Step outside your emotions. Seneca, one of Stoicism's sharpest minds, said, anger is the greatest enemy of reason. When you're mad, you're not you anymore. You're a caged animal, growling and clawing at everything. But you can walk out of that cage. How? By watching yourself like an outsider. When the anger hits, don't dive in. Stand back and observe it. Tell yourself, oh, there's that heat in my chest. There's my hands shaking. Interesting. Sounds crazy, but it works. I remember arguing with a friend. She called me selfish, and I felt the blood rush to my head. I wanted to yell back, prove her wrong. But instead, I said to myself, okay, this is anger. It's making my heart race. It wants me to say something stupid. I stayed quiet, looked at her, and just nodded. She stopped yelling, confused. Later, she apologized. Not because I out-argued her, but because I didn't let anger take the wheel. When you step outside it, you're in charge, not them. The third blade. Accept what you can't change. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, wrote this in the middle of a battlefield. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you'll find strength. Life isn't fair. People will treat you like crap. They'll lie, betray, and hurt you. You can't stop that. But you can stop yourself from hurting more by getting mad about it. I used this with that loud neighbor I mentioned. I couldn't force him to turn off the music. Not right away. But I could choose how I reacted. I told myself, he's a fool, and that's his problem, not mine. I put on headphones, read a book, and slept fine. The next day, he apologized, not because I demanded it, but because my silence made him feel small. When you accept what's out of your hands, you don't just lose the anger. You get stronger in everyone's eyes. These three blades, seeing anger as an illusion, stepping outside your emotions, accepting what you can't control, saved me from myself. I use them in small moments, like fights with friends or stress on the road. Then I tested them in bigger battles, times I wanted to punch a wall, scream at the world. And each time, I stood taller. I didn't just control my anger, I started controlling my life. You can do the same. You don't have to be good at it right away. I wasn't. The first time I tried seeing anger as an illusion, I still yelled at a slow delivery guy. But I didn't quit. I kept practicing. And little by little, I became the guy who, when I go quiet, people listen. You don't have to take my word for it. Try it. Next time someone ticks you off, pick up one of these blades and swing. You'll be shocked at the power it gives you. But we're not done yet. I've got 4 more blades coming, and they'll take you from surviving your anger to mastering it completely. You've made it halfway, and if you're still here, it means you don't just want to survive your anger. You want to strangle it, throw it to the ground, and stand over its corpse like a conqueror. The first 3 blades I gave you, seeing anger as an illusion, stepping outside your emotions, accepting what you can't change, they're the foundation. But now we're leveling up. Now you're grabbing the last 4 blades and turning yourself into someone who's not just calm, but terrifying in their calm. This isn't the time for half measures. This is the moment you step into the arena and show the world that nobody can shake you. The 4th blade. Strike at the root. Seneca said, anger is like a fire. Without fuel, it dies. What's the fuel? Your ego. The belief that you deserve to be treated right. That everything should go your way. I learned this on one of the worst days of my life. I'd just been rejected for a job I was sure I'd get. The interviewer looked at me with a sneer and said, "You're not good enough." I wanted to flip the table, scream that he was wrong. But then I asked myself, why am I mad? Because I think I'm owed more. I let go of that ego. I smiled, thanked him, and walked out. 2 weeks later, I got a better offer. When you cut off the fuel, anger has nothing to burn. The 5th blade. Pick your battles. Marcus Aurelius, surrounded by war and smoke, wrote, "Don't waste energy on what's not worth it." Not every insult, every dumb move, deserves your reaction. I remember standing in line at the grocery store. Some guy cut in front of me, smirking when I glared at him. The anger surged, but I thought, is he worth my peace? No. I let him go, got my stuff, and left with a clear head. Meanwhile, I saw him arguing with the cashier, face red, looking like a fool. I won, not by beating him, but by not bothering to fight. You don't have to take on every enemy. Sometimes, walking away is the strongest way to crush them. The sixth blade, train patience. Epictetus said, nothing great is built in a single stroke. You can't expect anger to vanish overnight. It's a wild beast. You tame it day by day. I practiced this with a friend who was always late. Every time she showed up late, I wanted to explode. But I started treating it like a test. I'd sit there, breathe, and tell myself, I'm not letting 15 minutes ruin my day. Eventually, I didn't just stop getting mad. I started enjoying the wait, turning it into time to think. Patience isn't weakness. It's strength forged in fire. The seventh blade, the killing blow. Turn anger into power. Stoicism doesn't teach you to erase emotions. It teaches you to use them. When my ex-girlfriend betrayed me, I felt like the world was collapsing. I wanted to smash everything, scream in her face. But instead of letting anger destroy me, I harnessed it. I wrote down every feeling, then burned the paper. I hit the gym, lifted heavier than ever. I turned pain into fuel to become better. 6 months later, I was stronger, more successful, and when she called to apologize, I just laughed. Thanks for making me tougher. Anger isn't your enemy. It's a tool, if you know how to wield it. Now picture all 7 blades in your hands. I used them to face my darkest moment. One day, I was back at my old office, the place I got fired from, because a friend invited me to visit. That co-worker who triggered me was still there. He looked at me, smirked, and said, "Heard you're unemployed now, huh?" This time, I didn't yell. I didn't shake. I locked eyes with him, smiled, and said, "No, I rebuilt my life. You're still stuck here." He went silent, face pale. Everyone in the room turned to me, not him. That was my climax. Not because I got revenge, but because I'd conquered myself. See, this isn't just about controlling anger. It's about controlling your life. I was at the bottom, chained by rage, but I broke free. I used these 7 blades to go from a loser to someone nobody dares disrespect. And now they're yours. But I won't lie. They don't work if you just listen. You've got to pick them up, swing them, and let your anger's blood spill at your feet. Are you ready to do that? Because if you are, the world won't just see you differently. They'll beg to stand in your shadow. You've seen it now. 7 blades, 7 ways to slice through your anger and rise up unbreakable. I didn't bring you here to tell fairy tales or pat you on the back with empty words. I brought you here to give you power. The power I found when I was at the bottom, when I thought I had nothing left. But listen, knowing isn't enough. You can sit there, nod, think, yeah, that's cool. Then go back to your old life where anger still pulls your strings like a puppet. Or you can stand up, grab these blades, and change everything, starting today. Imagine your life when you master this. You walk into a meeting, and when someone tries to interrupt, you just look at them, silent, and they shut up on their own. You face some jerk on the street, and instead of blowing up, you smile, walk away, and let them destroy themselves. You look in the mirror and don't see a weakling jerked around by emotions anymore. You see someone strong, calm, untouchable. That's not a dream. That's what I've achieved, and it's right there for you to take. But don't get it twisted. This isn't an easy road. The first time I tried these blades, I failed. I yelled at a slow delivery guy, slammed my phone down, and thought, I can't do this. But I didn't quit. I picked the sword back up. I practiced. I failed a few more times. Then one day, I was in a fight with my best friend, felt the anger rising, but I stopped. I saw it. I stepped outside it. I chose not to fight, and I won. Not because I'm better than anyone else, but because I was better than the me from yesterday. That's what I need you to get. Real strength doesn't come from controlling others. It comes from controlling yourself. Marcus Aurelius sat on a throne, facing war and betrayal, but never let anger rule him. Seneca was slandered, exiled, yet wrote timeless words of calm. Epictetus lived as a slave, but his mind was freer than anyone's. They weren't superheroes. They were regular people, like you and me, who chose the hard path, the path I'm showing you. So what are you going to do? Keep letting anger turn you into a clown in everyone's eyes? Or grab these 7 blades and forge yourself into someone they have to respect? I don't care who you are, an 18-year-old student, a 25-year-old worker, or someone finding themselves at 35. All that matters is you choose to act. Next time someone pisses you off, don't react. Stop. Breathe. Use one blade, any blade, and see what happens. You won't just control your anger. You'll control your life. I went from a guy who lost his job, his friends, everything to anger, to someone people now turn to for strength. That loud neighbor apologized. That smug co-worker went quiet in front of me. My ex called back, but I didn't need her anymore. That's not magic. That's what happens when you live these principles every day. And if I can do it, you can too. Here's my call to you. Don't just watch this and forget it. Stand up. Try it. Fail, then try again. Because every time you swing that sword, you get stronger. And one day, you'll look back and realize, the world didn't change, you did. They won't beg you to forgive them. They'll beg you to teach them how to be as calm as you. Hit subscribe if you want more, not to hear me talk, but to build a life with me that nothing can break. Now get out there, pick up the sword, and start fighting. The real battle's waiting.